Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar, and happy Friday, everybody. Today I want to talk to you about Super 7 Ultimates Transformers, and who are these for? Will these work on your masterpiece shelf? And how do these stack up versus other options that are out there? What exactly is a Super 7 Ultimates Transformer? Well, a Super 7 Ultimates Transformer is an articulated action figure that does not transform. There are now a total of 3 waves of these Ultimates Transformers that are in production or in the pre-order status. I'm going to take a look at each one of these. We're going to talk about each and every one of these and decide, are these for you? Coming up. So first off, I want to talk about Optimus Prime. Obviously, Optimus Prime is going to be the leader of this. We're going to start out with him. And looking at him himself, he does look a little bit on the bulky side, and I think a lot of people like that. So sort of closer to the Magic Sword. Now this is supposed to match the tune 100%, and I don't know if it exactly matches it 100%, but I know all the other lines that Super 7 does, they go for a 100% tune match. Now this does come with a ton of accessories, 2 head sculpts, 3 pairs of hands, an axe, matrix of leadership, jetpack, blaster, basketball, surfboard, spelled B-O-R-D, and Spite Wick Wiki figure and Energon binder, all for $55. Now, that is kind of right in line with all of the other Super 7 kind of stuff and how they do it. I don't know what the basketball's for and all that, but all these different hands, pointing options, and all this stuff. So, no articulated hands on this. They're all just preformed as an action figure. So, that's kind of deciding, is this something that you're in for? First off, let's do a quick comparison of him to the cartoon model and how close is it to the cartoon model. So, it's kind of interesting, a slightly different angle on this. Now, I'm starting to wonder, once you start posing him and moving around, how much better you can make him look. So I'm not really 100% sure how close it is without giving a little bit of articulation to it. And they say it's highly articulated, but they don't tell you how many points of articulation there are. And it's really hard to tell and hard to count. I think it's a sign of a good figure if it's got a lot of articulation, but you don't see a lot of cuts in it. But then again, I got to get my hands on it to know for sure. Here's what he looks like next to the MP44 Optimus Prime. Now, obviously, the MP44 is going to be about a 10-inch, so 3 inches taller than the 7-inch version. So this would not work as a masterpiece on your shelf like MP44 does. So this is more in scale with the Earthrise Prime. Now, the Earthrise Prime was a $50 toy. The price on that is $5 cheaper than the Super 7 version, and it transforms and comes with the trailer, but doesn't come with the other slew of stuff. So looking at these side by side, I mean, just up to you. Which one do you think looks better? Which one fits your image of Optimus Prime more? The Super 7 on the right, or the Earthrise one on the left? Okay, so next up we have Starscream's Ghost. And the thing about this Starscream's Ghost, next to the still here, this picture from the G1 cartoon, this does not seem to match to me as well as I would think that they could if you make a non-transforming Transformer. But again, this one is from different angles, so maybe if I had the right angle on all that, we can see how it lined up. And maybe in hand, it does look a little bit closer. So with that, this is still 7-inch, so comparing it to Masterpiece doesn't make sense. But before we get into that and compare it to Earthrise, let's also take a look at the accessories. It comes with 3 heads, 3 sets of hands, and that's it. There's no other options for it, but maybe they could have had a coordination set or something, but no options for it. So this would be a replacement for the $30 Earthrise Starscream, and now we're going to get a $50 version in the leader class for Starscream that has a coordination set. So looking at these side by side, which one do you think looks better? Now with the Earthrise, you do have a lot more detail to it, but you have that foot kibble. Now with this one, you don't have foot kibble. Now this one is sort of transparent, like Earth or Ghost of Starscream, so it's not exactly trying to be Starscream. It's trying to be the Ghost of Starscream. So it's more of an accent piece in a way for $55 versus $30. So they do things differently. And of course, this is a non-transforming action figure. So how does it look? I think it looks okay. I'd really like to get this in hand so I'd know for sure. Just once you get them articulated, put them in stances and all that kind of stuff, how it works out. And plus that other face that's on the left there, I think it might look a little bit better. Next up we have the character Banzai-Tron with 3 pairs of hands, blaster, and a razor sharp. The thing about this is that this is a modern take on the vintage 1990 G1 Transformers Action Master Banzai-Tron. So with that, this is kind of what you're going to get with the figure. There's really not much else out there to compare it to, or anybody even making this character. It's really weird, it's obscure, and we're going to see how well obscure stuff sells when it comes to these figures. Here's a side-to-side compared to the G1 version, so you kind of see the difference and similarities, actually. So, pretty cool. I think that this is a nice modern update to the G1 character, if you're in for it. So sliding into Wave 2, we've got the Earthrise Megatron versus their SUPER7 Megatron. And I've got to say, this scales more with the Chug, the Mainiline at 7-inch for this character. And looking at this guy here, side by side, I actually think it's a pretty good improvement. It's a pretty big improvement. So if you want a really nice looking Megatron in your display versus kind of what we've gotten at retail, then this might be for you. So it does look clean, very G1, very G1-esque. And I like that starting with Wave 2, we get a lot more dynamic poses for the pictures, so you can kind of see what it does, and you can sort of make out where the articulation is in this figure. So a lot of people have said that this is red, but better than the Hasbro red figures. So for $55, you are going to get in the package here, you're going to get some slew of things, lots of stuff. 3 interchangeable heads, regular, power hungry head, and head with mind control helmet. 6 interchangeable hands, hand holding Energon cube, antimatter chest, Crimzy, chemical flask, laser sword, blaster, pearl of Bahidon, and 2 energy bases. So lots of stuff going on right there. A lot of stuff you're going to get included with this, and a lot of accessories for the $55 price point. Next up, we have Grimlock in Dino mode only, and you're also going to get a little wheelie to ride. So what all are you going to get with this Grimlock for $55? 7-inch scale, so I assume he's 7 inches tall, which kind of makes sense, because in Dino mode he needs to be as tall, if not taller, than the rest of the characters that are there. So what he's going to get is 6 interchangeable hands. So, like the tips of his hands can do different things. So, mind control helmet, soft good waiter apron, 6-piece of drinkware, fist, king crown, and a wheelie. So, a lot of stuff with this, a lot of things you can do. And could you work this into a Masterpiece display? Quite possibly, but I think all the Masterpiece dinos, once they're in Dino mode, will still tower over the 7-inch figure. So, there's kind of that. And I also kind of think, if you get this figure, but they don't do the rest of the dinos, he's going to be kind of lonely on the shelf. So next up, we're going to talk about tracks. So what are you going to get with tracks here? You're going to get 2 interchangeable heads. Regular head, evil alien robot head, 6 interchangeable hands, a tank vintage toy-inspired ion blaster with a vintage toy-inspired blaster, and then a cartoon-inspired ion blaster, and then Blaster himself as a boombox. So pretty cool add-ins and accessories in there. And I am starting to wonder, will this be 7 inches tall? If it's 7 inches tall, then it's right around the size of the Masterpiece one, and it can be a replacement in a Hypertune look, but I don't know. I don't know exactly how they say 7-inch scale, and if you're really keeping things to scale, that means some characters are going to be shorter than others, so maybe he's 5 inches. But I still think you could pull him off on a Masterpiece shelf if you want to, and you're one of those in the camp that you really don't like what they did with Tracks from Takara. So I actually rather like the Tracks from Takara. Not that it's the greatest figure ever made, but I don't hate it as much as a lot of people really hate that Tracks. So maybe this is a Tracks for you, or maybe it's not. Just depending on the aesthetic and how tuned do you want to go. Because this is very tuned to a point, maybe even tuned to a detriment, but still, that's the whole goal with all this, and hey, it looks alright. So next up we have the Bludgeon Pretender figure, and he comes with 2 interchangeable heads, toy-inspired, comic-inspired, 6 interchangeable hands, head wire bundle, comic-inspired, a katana with a sheath, and then we have a Wakasashi? Did I say that right? A tank blaster, ion blaster, toy-inspired, and a turret shield toy-inspired. So, looking at all of this, I didn't understand why people were so excited about this character and this figure, and now I know. So the vintage one is selling for serious bucks on the secondary market. It's a $300 figure if it's complete. I didn't know that. I really didn't think Pretenders were that popular, but man, it looks like they really are. Evidently this one, this is just not that common. There's not that many out there. There's actually not very many even on eBay right now. There's only 2, and they're hovering right around the $300 mark. So it's kind of interesting now for 55 bucks, you can get this. Now, this one does resemble the original toy quite a bit, but the thing about this is you get all these other accessories, and it's going to be about an inch, a little over an inch taller. So 7-inch scale for Super 7, the original G1's under 6 inches tall, so that's kind of, size-wise, it's going to be a little taller. Would it fit in with all of your other G1s? It'd tower over them a little bit. Okay, so getting into Wave 3, we're going to talk about Alligatorcon, which is Optimus Prime's parts that were made into an alligator, and then there's an arm that goes on the tower, and so kind of cool stuff going on right there. So this is one of those things from one episode that was out there, and I didn't talk much about this on the news. I just covered it real quick. This is what's out there. But this has a battle taxi, a Decepticon tower, the Optimus Prime arm with ion cannon, the Optimus Prime head with light pipe and wire bundle. So, interesting accessories for a very obscure item. And again, Super 7 is doing these things that are really obscure that nobody else is going to do. And you can say, well, Super 7 is the only one that did them. Now, I do know that they made one for the Legends scale. So this would be something that you could probably mix in your Masterpiece line. You could put it in with your Chug line. But there's already an existing one for your Legends. So the Legends one, the color scheme's a bit off. It's not exactly right. But they basically just reused a mold that they already had. So no big deal there, right? So looking at these side by side, I do think you get the super clean Toon look, the Toon accurate look with Super 7. I just kind of want to show you this Legends version. And I think they match the colors up pretty well. I mean, just depending on what part of that one episode that you watch, I mean, maybe some of the colors are a little bit different here and there. But like the side, there's a square on the side of them that's white in the show, blue on the figure. But anyway, still looks pretty cool. If you're in for this and you're a fan of this, there you go, 55 bucks. So next up, we've got G2 Megatron. It comes with 3 interchangeable heads, toy-inspired, comic-inspired, G1-inspired heads. So lots of stuff to come with that one. 8 interchangeable hands, 2 fists, 2 open palm hands, 2 blaster sword grip hands, and 2 trigger hands, 3 blasters, 2 comic-inspired blasters, and 1 toy-inspired blaster. Also, you get shoulder tank ion cannon, toy-inspired, an ion cannon that's toy-inspired, comic-inspired sword, and a comic-inspired ammo belt. So lots of stuff packed in this with this Megatron, this G2 Megatron. But it's the second Megatron they're making already in 3 lines with so many characters that they could do. Why do we get 2 Megatrons? I don't really know. But let's compare it to the actual G1. G2. Comparing them to the G2 Megatron, I mean, this obviously looks better. This looks way better than what they did back in the day. What they did back in the day was turning him into a tank, stop turning him into a gun or a pew. So I never liked the itty-bitty little feet on the guy also. So this really works. It dials it out, feels more like a Megatron. Pretty good. And Hasbro also made a G2 version Megatron right here. And it looks okay too. In the modern line they made it, but which one do you like better? I'd like to hear in the comments below, because this is just a repaint of the other Megatrons that they've already got out there from Hasbro, and from Super 7 you get more of a clean look, and it was made just to be this one character. So next up, we've got Wreck-Gar. He's got 2 interchangeable heads, a cartoon-inspired and a toy-inspired. That toy-inspired is so goofy looking, isn't it? That's crazy. Also, we have 8 interchangeable hands, 2 fists, 2 gripping hands, 2 tripping hands, 2 the open palm hand, and a peace sign hand, and all that kind of stuff. So, interesting what's going on there. We got 2 axes, cartoon-inspired and toy-inspired axe. We got energon sticks, 2 tire tread shields, blaster, 2 tire shields, blaster, handheld TV, soft good waxing cloth, and a wax bottle. We watch TV and we'll fix them up, no problem. So there's a lot to this. This is really interesting, and I do want to say that Wreck-Gar's gotten so much love. He's got on the way a Legends figure on the way. He's got all this stuff going on with the KFC Masterpiece, and he's got a lot of stuff going on in the main line with not only Wreck-Gar, but now another Junkion coming in the main line. So much love for this character, and here he is. And you could have different sizes. So this guy's 7 inches. You're looking at closer to 8.5 to 9 inches for the Masterpiece. All right, so let's compare it to the KFC version. I think the Masterpiece KFC version, it's $120 versus this one being $50. This one will be a little bit taller, so it's probably 1.5 inches taller than Wreck-Gar. So with all of that taken into account, and of course the price-wise and all that stuff, what do you think? I think that the KFC one still wins as the best out of all of them, but it still has the highest price point. Now here's the Studio Series Wreck-Gar, and these should be about the same exact height. Studio Series for $30 and kind of what you get right there. And this is really a good looking figure. Both of them look good. I think that you do get a bit of a cleaner look with Super 7, but you do transform, and it's $25 less with the Mainiline. So it'll be kind of interesting to get these in hand side by side and have a look at them and just compare them to see them side by side, which one actually has more articulation. But when you look at it, the way they did the articulation with Super 7, you don't see any of the lines, hardly any of the lines. You don't lose any of that sculpt. So next you get Tarn, which is an IDW figure here, and this Wave 3 has just an absolute, complete, and total ton, just a ton of accessories. So you get 2 interchangeable heads, a standard and an alternate head. You get 8 interchangeable hands with 2 fists, 2 grip, 2 open palm, and 2 claw. You get a mask prop. You get a nickel mini bot figure. You get a nickel mini bot pack, jet pack, and then you get a double ion cannon. So a lot of stuff packed in with this, and I don't really follow IDW so much, but I've seen so many Tarn figures out there. This one looks interesting, and they're not going for toon. I guess they're going for comic on this. So let me know what you think about this. I just figured it was time we talk about the Super 7. The line is growing to 12 figures. I don't know how many they're going to make. Are they going to make 300 figures? Who knows down the road? So I would say that if you're in on any of these, you might want to get them now before they're out of production. But then again, I don't know if these are going to be popular. I don't know if they'll ever go on sale or any of those kinds of things like clearance, because certain characters weren't popular and all that. So I'm not really thinking like that. I'm thinking if you want one, if you're really in for them and you like it the most, more than likely everyone else likes it the most too, and that's the one that'll sell out and be hard to get down the road. So I'm really just kind of throwing that out there, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe. Tell your hanger out.